Hey everybody, it's fifth live of the day. It's Vegan Christmas or the Vegan Health Bundle. And I'm going to try and actually say words like a grown-up human being. Fergus is here to make sure that I do a good job.
Yep, he's supervising.
And we're here with Raw Chef Yen, who I just adore. So this is awesome. And I've got a question over here. Linda was saying, purchase the bundle and don't know where the link is to get in. It's going to be in your email. You can check your spam as well. And if you have some problems with that, you can email support@healthyslowcooking.com and I will give you the bundle support through that. That's a special bundle support email. So Chef Yen, why don't you tell us all about yourself?
Hi everyone. So I am thanks so much, Kathy and Cheryl, for having me on your show. I was really looking forward to this one, and I'm so glad that Fergus is with us as well. Yay!
I know. He was like, "Oh, I almost missed out."
Yeah, so I am a raw vegan chef based in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I have been doing this since 2016. So I focus more on education. So I teach people how to make beautiful, delicious raw vegan food. And I've done some pop-up dinners as well with,
Cool.
I want to go to your
but that,
pop-up dinner.
but I actually prefer teaching rather than doing dinners. But yes, when I come visit you, I will make you food. Don't worry.
Yay!
Yeah. So when the lockdowns happened, what I did was I used to teach in person. Then, um, yeah. So when the lockdowns happened, I pivoted and I moved to teaching online instead. So my classes are all pre-recorded because I'm in this part of Malaysia and a lot of people are over on your side of the world. Yeah, that's why you're staying up late for me. Thank you so much.
Well,
And
how early is it for you? Because usually we don't go this early.
so it's 9 in the morning right now. So
Okay.
Okay.
So
it
it's a
isn't
decent
too
time.
bad.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's a decent time. Yeah, 9 in the morning, it's fine. Because usually I wake. It depends, if I'm doing a demo, then I prefer to do it at 10 or slightly
Yeah.
later. Well, because I still need to have some prep time in the morning because I'll be like
Right.
prepping at 7. I feel like I work a bit slow, so it takes me a longer time to prep or than
It
I
takes me
expect.
a while. Like my live with Chef AJ was at 1, but I was cleaning the kitchen or prepping things because I had to cook a bunch of separate things from like 9. So I'm like, why am I working all day long? Right? It seems like a lot more work than it should.
Yeah, it always seems to take longer than you expect. So yeah. I have 27 online courses. Well, maybe now I have more because I created one. Anyway, I have 27 online courses right now and 6 ebooks. Mostly raw. There's one or two that has some cooked recipes in it because it has tempeh and some of it has a bit of like cheese where I use a bit of cooking. But yeah, so that's basically what I do. I also go live on Instagram to make food. I also do some YouTube lives as well and Facebook lives as well from time to time. And I've taken this is my third time in the bundle, and I think that's how I met you guys actually through the
It
first bundle.
is. And
Yes.
I always say, like, that's one of the things, too. It seems like kind of like vegan Christmas because you get to visit all your favorite people and you meet new people every time. And it's just so much fun. Are you doing like 80 bazillion lives this week?
No, I've had a lot. In fact, okay, so I try and keep it to 2 joint lives a day, and then what I usually do is one live on my own, which is a cooking demo. But now I have to cancel that because I sprained my wrist and it's still in pain. So I should totally rest it even though it's bundle week. So yeah, I'm doing about 2 joint lives a day. So it's not a bazillion like yours. I, I yeah, I don't have that energy because I'm also an introvert. So it's like after 2 lives, I'm just like, I'm so tired. but it's really funny though, because I still want to do it, and then as my partner has to, I told him to remind me, like, don't do anything more than three. So after the third one, he'll come to me and go like, you can't go live anymore, you won't be able to take this. And I'll be like, ah, okay. Okay.
Cheryl should be doing that, but like this time I'm like, you're just going to come hang out with me
Yeah.
in the lives. And that way, because believe it or not, I'm an introvert as well. So the bundle week really wears me out.
Yeah.
But it's so cool and so exciting that I can kind of get through it. Today, I don't know how I scheduled today the way I did, but I've been taking a little nap in the afternoons when I can.
Oh, yeah, that's nice. That's why I actually have people on the wait list, because I just say like, okay, I can only do two join. If someone cancels, then then we can try and slot you in. So I actually had some cancellations. I had three cancellations. So the first one, I'm like, I don't think I want to put anyone in. And then the second cancellation, I'm also like, I'm just gonna rest. And then when it came to the third one, I'm like, okay, I have people on my wait list. I should message them and say like, hey, this want to come on live. So I think we can relate.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because I had a cancellation, and I was like, huh. Because she didn't say. She said personal reasons. I'm like, do you just want to? I sent an email going, do you want to change days or something? And not that I didn't want to talk to her in particular, but I was like really glad that it just kind of magically opened
That was
up.
on one of your heavier days too. It was on one of the heavier days of scheduling, so
And I was like, woohoo!
that actually gave her a little bit more of a break time in between, so that was nice.
But next week, I'm going to take some days off. I'm probably just going to stay in bed and read for like 2 days. And
Oh,
That's
that'd be nice.
yeah.
Yeah, because you've been doing so much. I can't catch up with all your lives, because I usually watch your lives regularly. But now I'm like, Kevin's on all the time. I'm like, I haven't watched this.
The one we just did was super fun. I didn't know Rose before this.
Yeah,
And she is hilarious. And
Yeah.
she's smart as a whip.
she is. She's a little firecracker.
She is like, so we hadn't talked or anything. So it was really, look, I'm going to take the cushion one now that Fergus left it instead of the wooden one.
So we were actually both feeling like really tired, and we were like, oh,
How are we
I
going
said-
to do this?
and then I was like, but we got Chef Yin, and we're gonna be all right once we get to Chef Yin. And then Rose came on and like
She was like,
energized
woo,
us.
excitement.
Like she just like it's like she sent us all this energy through the lines, and now we're like, woo, let's go.
Oh, good, good. Yeah. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah. So, let me talk about what I'm offering for the bundle this time.
Yeah.
I have two offerings. The first one is the course on raw vegan Asian desserts, because I basically focus on I have a passion for creating raw vegan Asian food, just because I miss my Asian flavors, and there are not that many, books out there on specific. There are a few, but not a lot on Asian food. And because I've had the opportunity to travel to a lot of the Southeast Asian countries and the Asia Pacific countries during my work days in the corporate world, so I've had a chance to eat all this food in the original country, so I know what the authentic flavors and textures are like. So yeah, what I've done is, taken the techniques of raw food, such as food processing, blending, spiralizing, dehydration, fermentation, sprouting, and then applied that to Asian recipes. So this time I have Asian desserts, and it covers desserts from Malaysia, Thailand, Korea, Japan, and India. So that's my,
Ooh.
yeah, and it's an online course, so there's actually video tutorials to go with it as well, because if some of you are not familiar with, making raw food, so you're more used to, cooking and braising and steaming, or just putting everything in the instant pot. So
Well, I love that
So-
too, because like if you're not familiar, like some Asian desserts I've had, but there's so many. So there's so many I haven't had.
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
not being as familiar with raw techniques. So having those videos is going to be really
Mm,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. So you get a recipe book, a PDF recipe book, and then which gives you the steps, the ingredients, the recipes, the steps, and then you also have video tutorials. And in the PDF, it actually tells you, refer to video one or refer to video two to make this dessert. So I just wanted to say that because I think previously somebody bought in another bundle, somebody bought one of my courses, and she goes like, oh, where do you have the recipes written online? It's actually there. If you log onto Gumroad, it's actually right at the top of the content one. It says, so I had to go in and put there, read this first. Yeah, so that people know to refer to the PDF, so you have the actual recipes. So that's my first contribution to the vegan health bundle. And then the second one is called, I called it Beautiful Vegan Food. Is also a video course on how I take pictures and how I style my food to make them look beautiful in photos. Yeah. And this was kind of like upon request. I know some people were, saying that they don't know how to do it or how to do it. And then Lisa was like, yeah, Lisa was also telling me that she actually wanted to ask me to do a course on that. So I always tell people I kind of stepped out of my comfort zone because it's not something that I usually teach. I'm so used to teaching how to make raw vegan food, but I don't teach people how to take photos. But I have taken actually some food styling courses in person as well as online, and also some food photography workshops in Malaysia as well as some online as well. So, and I've been doing this, since 2016. I think I wrote my first ebook, was it in 2017 or 2018? But anyway, because I have 27 online courses, and for all those courses, I actually take photos of those food and dishes. So I thought I would basically show you how I do that. So I talk about, like which backdrop to use, and then I show my collection of the cloths and the linens that I add to, add some layers to the picture, and then I talk about like, adding cutlery. I show my collection of my cutlery as well, and then I was trying out some of the recipes from the bundle, actually, like Elspeth's recipe. Elspeth has she's known as the Speedy Vegan, and she has French, Thai, and Indian cooking courses. So I made one of her French dishes, the mushroom bourguignon. I don't know how to pronounce that properly, with creamy mashed potatoes.
Sounds good.
Yum.
Yeah, so I made that, and then I recorded. I actually had to buy like another tripod so I can record overhead to show how I, put the backdrop together and put it on the plate and style it, and things like that. So you guys can, yeah. So if you get the bundle, you can get that course and watch the videos on how I do that. So those are my two contributions to the bundle. And I actually wanted to talk more about the Asian desserts because I think a lot of people are not familiar with what they are, and tell you my personal stories about them as well. You
All
know.
right.
Yeah, I would love that because I get to try a few things. I was vegetarian for a long time, but since becoming vegan is now when I have access to more Chinese groceries, more Korean groceries, and most of those have pastries and desserts that I can't try.
Okay, let me try and look for my ebook on my. Okay, so this is. Let me see. So
Here it goes.
this
Oh,
is
yeah,
the
that's
cover.
great.
Yeah,
Nice.
and that's the cover, and I think I'll just go through by one, unless people have questions about something else. Ooh, this is called the Shibuya toast. I don't know whether you've heard of it before. It's more of Japanese. This is the
Ooh.
Oh, cool.
So okay, let me tell you what it is. Is This is just part of it. It's basically traditionally, this is like a dessert from Japan, and it was very very popular here in Malaysia. They usually take a loaf of bread, and so it's like a square loaf, and then they hollow it out, and then they fill it with all sorts of goodies. Like they fill it with ice cream, and they put the sauces on top. Yeah, and yeah, there's this, like, I don't know what you call it, the pokey sticks
Oh
and
yeah,
Oh
we know what
wow.
pokies. Yeah, we say it's
yeah,
we have
yeah.
this.
So they
We have the Japanese brand here too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's basically that. It's basically a loaf of bread filled with ice cream and like condensed milk and chocolate sauce and
Oh
strawberry
wow.
sauce and all that. So I decided to make a raw vegan, and sometimes they put like honey and all that. So I decided to make a raw vegan version of that. So I came up with the bread, which I actually use buckwheat. So there are a few components to it. So there's the bread,
Oh, so did you cook it in the or well like not cook it
dehydrator.
in the dehydrator?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
Oh.
wow, that's
So
amazing.
yeah, and then, oh yeah, and then when you cut up the bread, then you cut it into small little cubes, and then you put it back into the bread as well. So the bread is kind of like a bowl, but it's a bread bowl, I guess, and then I have the matcha ice cream that goes with it because it's Japanese, right? So I made matcha ice show how to make matcha ice cream. I showed how to make a chocolate ice cream, and then a strawberry ice cream. So those are all the components. So this is a bit more involved, but I really wanted to make it, and asked my partner. He loved it. He loved it so much. He was like, "Wow!" I have some videos of him testing it. So I made the chocolate sauce as well, and he was like the happiest, yeah, happiest kid in the world.
Oh,
And
that
then I
sweetened
made
condensed
a
milk looks
yeah, a raw
good.
vegan sweetened condensed milk, because we use that a lot in Asian desserts, especially in Malaysian desserts as well. Um, and then I also made a coconut sugar syrup as well. So, and then that's the
Oh,
result.
that's
I don't know.
beautiful. Yeah, that's perfect right
Yeah.
there.
Oh
So you can see it, right?
wow.
You
Yeah.
can you can imagine what it's like. It's basically, yeah, the raw vegan bread with the 3 scoops of ice cream, like matcha and strawberry and I think chocolate and ice cream, and then I also put in some bananas and some, I think there's some strawberries, and yeah, and then all the sauces. Can you imagine? It's like
Wow,
the
that's like a
condensed
whole
milk and
meal.
yeah, yeah, it's a bit crazy, but it was something that I wanted to do for a really long time. So when this happened, yeah, then I made this is just coconut yogurt. Coconut yogurt's like, I think everybody knows how to make coconut yogurt, but because I wanted to make the sweet lassi, so I know, like,
Mm,
you're most probably familiar with like mango lassi.
yes.
Yeah, but this one in Indian, do they serve also just like sweet lassi as well? Usually, okay, so usually here in Malaysia, you have salty lassi,
We have.
you have mango lassi, and you have the sweet lassi. So yeah, I put that in because I thought, like, it has like some rose petals, it has cardamom, it also has
We had that somewhere. We
chopped
were
pistachio
somewhere.
on top.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
because
yeah.
I love rose and cardamom and pistachio. Those are three beautiful flavors.
Yeah. So that's the one from India. And then the other one is from Thailand. I love Thailand. I have traveled to Thailand more than 20 times because it's just right next to Malaysia. And I mean, I used to travel to Bangkok all the time for work, but I've also traveled to different parts of Thailand for holiday as well. That's like quite normal. So, I've gone to the islands. There's like Koh Phangan, there's Phuket, there's Krabi, there's Koh Lipe, there is, yeah, and then and we've been north and south as well. I've also been to the southern part like Hat Yai and Golok, and also up to Chiang Rai. I mean, we were in Thailand in January actually. Yeah, we were
Oh
supposed to visit a
wow.
friend, but we didn't manage to visit him. But we did have a nice holiday, and us went for the Thailand International Jazz Conference as well. So we had Thai food for 2 whole weeks. Oh, what we were really lucky because we were on campus in this university for the conference, and there was lucky, yeah, lucky. I think it was a good thing because this time they actually had a plant-based eatery on campus.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
wow.
I know, because we've been to that campus like 4 times already, and they never had anything like, vegan. So this was the first time they had this eatery took over another cafe, and it was not just only a plant-based eatery, it was a one with healthy plant-based eatery. Yeah, so
Okay.
Oh.
yeah, so we ate there for lunch every single day. They were like so used to seeing our faces. They were like, "Oh, Sawadika!" They were so happy to see us, and they actually gave me their coconut blossom sugar and their coconut blossom syrup because they were so happy. They messaged me like, "Oh, we have a gift for you," and all that. So that was really
Oh,
fun. So
that
I
sounds
I so
amazing.
yeah, yeah. And Thailand, they have so much fresh fruit and fresh produce. I really love the food there. I know you guys will have had a chance to eat Thai food over in the US because that's so common. You know what? I was listening while I was doing research for some Thai food. I was listening to this video, and it actually said that the Thai government, I think it was the Thai government, they're actively pushing out tourism through their food. That's and they said they actually have like templates. That's why they're encouraging people to open up Thai restaurants out of Thailand. And they have templates for like, how to create your food menus and all that. So they said that's the reason why if you go to a Thai restaurant, it might be very similar to all the others because, they get support from that on how to do it. So I guess so like a franchise thing. So talking about Thailand, this is a Thai dessert. I think there's
Yeah.
like reflection. But anyway, it's basically made out of it's a jackfruit, but it's a fresh jackfruit, fresh ripe jackfruit. So not a jackfruit in a can because I think most people are used to thinking about like, young green jackfruit in the
Yeah.
brine in the can. This is the fresh one. That's the yellow bit. So in my video, I actually show you how the fresh jackfruit looks like in the pot. So you need to what the traditional one is basically they cook your glutinous rice and then they cook it with some pandan and some um, coconut milk and a bit of salt, and then they stuff it into the jackfruit. Yeah, and
Oh.
then there's like a coconut cream on top, and then I sprinkle. So I've used jicama instead to for the rice, I think, and then they also use the butterfly pea flower for the natural coloring for the blue. Yeah, so I've made it like red, green, and no red, yellow, and blue. Lisa has made this recipe. Yeah, Lisa from Raw Food Romance in the bundle. She made this recipe. She really liked it. I know another person has tried the recipe as well. Lena. She's not in this bundle, but she was in the raw bundle. Yeah, she tried making this recipe as well. So if you've eaten mango sticky rice,
Yeah, I
the, it
love that's one of my favorite desserts.
yeah, yeah, it's the same concept, but this is in jackfruit instead. So the sticky rice is
Huh.
the same thing that they put in a jackfruit pot. Have you gotten a chance to eat fresh, ripe jackfruit?
I haven't. It's mostly because I'm lazy. So, like,
Oh, okay.
at the market near me, you can get the big
Yeah.
one. Like, and they're
Yeah.
big. They're like
Yeah,
Oh,
they're like
big.
huge.
yeah, they're huge. But in Malaysia, I'm very lucky because they already it's all taken out from the big huge thing. So just the pots they've already put it in the pot. So it's very convenient. Yeah, we don't have to buy a big whole one because you are right though, because I don't buy the big giant jackfruit on its own because to cut it and to remove it, it's quite a task. I mean, I think in Malaysia we're so lucky because like we have like like roadside stalls where like people are sitting there in front of the jackfruit, cutting it open, and they just peel and they just put it in containers, and then you can just buy it immediately. So you're buying it fresh. They just open it right in front of you. Yeah.
Wow.
Do you, that would be so much fun
I
to
wonder
just
if one of the Asian markets around here
you
would have it.
check. Usually, Li Ming's is the smaller Asian market that's right in our
Oh,
city. There's one that's like 20 minutes away that's much larger, so we can see. They usually the only time they've cut it open and have segments, they still haven't taken
yeah.
it out,
Yeah.
it's usually because it's kind of old too. So
Oh,
that's,
yeah, yeah.
but I wonder, and I haven't, I may have a can of the sweet jackfruit because I was thinking of trying to make a ninja creamy pint with it at some point.
Oh, it's so good. Oh my
Right?
God.
And I could only find it in syrup. But I figure it's worth trying, you know what I mean? Because like some things we
Yeah,
can't get
yeah.
everything here. But I'm
Yeah,
wondering
yeah.
if it might be possible to use that as a base, even though it's not ideal for
Yeah,
your
you could. I
dessert.
think you can just wash off the syrup and use it. You should be able to. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because
yeah.
we can at least try
Yeah,
that.
that'd be good.
So that would be, yeah, I think that's what would be so cool about coming to visit you would be to see all these beautiful fruits and produce that we don't always get here.
Yeah. I wonder how, I was just thinking about it though. I wonder how because you guys are on the McDougal thing, right? I don't know like how compliant the food here is in Malaysia though. There's so many things.
More oil, more oil
Yeah,
there.
it's so they use so much oil. I mean, like I can only find like so far I think there's one maybe two restaurants. There's one restaurant like 20 minutes drive away. They are open to making food without oil, but they do tell me like, oh, the taste is not going to be the same. I say, yeah, that's fine because I don't want the oil because they have cancer patients going to eat from them, so they understand that. But everywhere else there it's like they're like, what, no oil, no, we can't do it, so
It's a
yeah.
little bit like that here with vegan places too. I mean, I think it's what we do. We always say we do like 90 to 95% McDougal, so we can
Yes.
go out to eat like once a week. But like one place we go
Yes.
is a bowl restaurant, and it's not traditional Korean, but it's kind of based around those flavors. So they have a vegan kimchi, they have gochujang, they have
Oh,
purple
nice, nice.
rice. Like, oh,
Oh,
I love the
cool.
purple rice; it's so good. Um, but then even there's a great Indian buffet that hopefully by the time you're coming here, we'll still be doing. Say it's every other Thursday. They're doing an all vegan Indian buffet there.
Wow. Yeah, I've heard you talk about it on your lives.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And we've missed like three of
we've
as of
missed.
tomorrow we'll miss three of them in a row, I
Yeah.
think. But they're so good, and it's like I think what would be fun if we came to Malaysia, we would be like, okay, we can even when we do 90 to 95%, we're still doing as whole food plant based as we can and always
Yeah.
vegan. But I can't imagine not of going that far and still not trying to get some of those textures and
Yeah,
flavors, because
exactly. Exactly.
you can always then come back and make them compliant.
Yeah. You can most probably find like healthier versions. It's just not 100, it won't be 100% compliant. I know there are like some healthier places around, with the food. Yeah, I mean, yeah, what did I want to say? I can't remember. I mean, like what I do is like, oh no, oh, now I remember what I wanted to say. I wanted to say that I'm not 100% raw because when I travel to another city or a completely different country, I want to try how their food tastes like. And it's going to be cooked. There's not going to be like, there's hardly going to be any like raw vegan restaurants. I mean, like, yeah, in when we went to Thailand, I think there's just like one raw vegan restaurant in Bangkok, or like if you go to Vietnam, or I mean, so I'm like I can't do 100% raw because I want to taste the food. If I'm going to Italy, I want to taste how food in Italy tastes like, or if I go to Greece, you know what I mean? Yeah. So
Oh,
Yeah.
so I,
totally.
I
I know what.
Yeah.
yeah. It's like as a chef, how can I not taste their food, right? How can I I mean, me. I try to be very authentic as possible when I create my recipe. So I always, so far, all my courses, I think only for except for Japan, I haven't actually been to Japan. But all the other courses, like I've made Indonesian food, Korean, Thailand, Indian. I've always been to that actual country. It's just that Japan, we have a lot of Japanese restaurants here that have Japanese chefs. So I know that, the food that I'm tasting is also, pretty authentic is because it's always run by Japanese chefs. Yeah. So yeah. But are you guys thinking of coming? Like, do you have any plans of coming to Asia?
We don't have any plans, but I really would love to. Like
Okay.
I've always wanted to go to Japan. And then
Right, right.
my friend was from Singapore, but like I used to do Aikido for a number of years. So I almost
Oh,
went to Japan to
yeah.
study a long, very long time ago. Um, but also, and this is not the reason that I should go, but also we go to Disney and stuff here some,
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
there's
yeah,
the coolest Disneys that are over near you, like in Japan and all over there.
yeah.
That would be
Sure.
so much
In Hong
fun,
Kong. Yeah,
right?
yeah. I'm actually going to Japan in end of March, and we've already booked our tickets already because we've been talking about going to Japan since 2012, and we've never been. So this year, ours is just like we have to go. If we don't go, we'll just like never go because our friend is there right now. Our Malaysian friend is there, so he can show us around. And he said his visa is running out in June, so we have to go before he comes
Yeah.
back.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
yeah. And I actually wanted to sign up for a cooking class in Japan because I was checking out like there's some vegan cooking classes as well. But now I'm like, oh, I don't know how my wrist is gonna be, and
Oh,
we'll see.
Make him
Yeah.
cut. You just tell him what to do. You take the class, and you can be like half, right?
He's so afraid of knives because he's a guitarist, right? So he's
oh,
worried about using
his
knives for his
fingers.
fingers. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We it's funny because we both use fingers for our profession.
It's true. Cheryl and I both have cut ourselves washing knives. So if I'm really tired, I'm not allowed to clean up.
Uh yeah.
So
So us does all the washing except the knives. For the knives I do all the washing.
same
Yeah.
here. Same here.
Yeah.
She cut once, and then that was that.
Yeah. The first time that I cut myself, she was like, "Nope, no more. I'll
Well,
wash them."
Oh.
tell me about some Malaysian desserts.
Okay, yes. So the next one is kind of it's Malaysian, but it's also Indian Malaysia. I do this is kind of like
Ooh, that's beautiful.
so it's coconut candy. So it's not like the coconut candy that you get. We call it coconut candy. So I think I've called it like Malaysian coconut candy, and it's made with coconut, freshly grated coconut, and then it's like compacted together. I'm trying to remember how the traditional one is made. No, I can't remember because I know I did my research to find out what the traditional one is made. But the traditional one has a lot of sugar and all that. But basically, this one I used chia seeds and cinnamon husk. No, when I say cinnamon, chia seeds and psyllium husks.
Yes. I'm
Not
doing
the
what I did to Dawn. You're feeling my sleepy brain is coming over your way.
Yeah, so I put that together, and yeah, and I know that when I put this picture on Facebook, a lot of people are like, oh my god, this is like my childhood favorite. They're like, oh, we love this and all that. Yeah, because it's very sweet because it's Indian desserts are very sweet. Okay, so
Yeah.
Malaysia, if you didn't know, we are a very multicultural country, and we're very diverse as well. So like the three main ethnic groups would be the Malays, the Chinese, and the Indians. So I'm actually from Chinese descent, but I mean I identify as Malaysian. So I think my grandfather was still in Malaysia. So I think my great grandfather was most probably from China, and then and then my grandparents are from Malaysia. My parents are from Malaysia. I'm Malaysian, so I'm very Malaysian. I don't actually I can't even read Chinese. I can say my name in Chinese, Mei Yan Yan, but that's about it. So I don't read and write in Chinese. I read and write in Malay. So when you say Malaysian food, it's kind of hard to say because it's like, there's Malay food and there's Indian food and then there's Chinese food. So yeah, so some people get confused because I remember when we were in a friend's place in I think Ireland, and we are trying to tell the kids because I don't drink cold water because and he's like, why don't you drink cold water? And I said, oh, because I'm Chinese, and in traditional Chinese medicine we feel like the cold water will give a shock to your system. So I always drink like lukewarm water, warm water, or room temperature water. And he's like, "You're Chinese? I thought you're from Malaysia." So I was like, "Oh yes, yes, I'm Malaysian, but I'm like Malaysian of Chinese descent." But when it's funny when we're in Malaysia, then we go like, "Oh, I'm Chinese." But then when we're out of Malaysia in other countries, we all go like, "Oh, I'm Malaysian." So that's
That
how
makes
it is.
that makes it sounds a little bit like New Orleans in a way where there's like French influence, Creole influence. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously it's not a one for one, but then a lot of the food fusions a little bit too. Do you find that there's some like special Malaysian foods that get more fusion from like Chinese and Indian? I know there's here, because we have such a large Indian population, that there are Indo-Chinese restaurants where like they'll
Okay, okay.
like chili paneer or chili tofu. So and I've actually made a
Okay,
recipe like
okay.
right, it has some
Yeah, yeah, they have
Asian
like
flavors, but some
yes, yes.
Indian spices in it.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. The Indian restaurants here have that as well, like the gobi Manchurian and things
Yes.
like that. Yes. Yeah, yeah. I do. Yeah, on their menu they have like kind of like a Chinese selection of
Yeah.
Indian food that is kind of has Chinese influences using the Chinese ingredients as well. So yeah, we have that as well. Yeah, and I think like I mean China is so big, right? So
Yes.
that like different. So I'm actually I speak a bit of Cantonese. So like yeah. So I've eaten like Cantonese food, and then like yeah, different foods from different parts of China. So the food in China and Chinese food in China and the Chinese food here in Malaysia might not taste exactly the same. Although I mean there are some shops that kind of like focus towards trying to be more focus towards the more authentic Chinese taste as well. So definitely some influences. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, let me see what else in the my thing has like Malaysian desserts. I think this was the one. Wait, no. There's this thing called bubo chacha, which I wanted to ask you. Okay, so this is the bubo chacha. I wanted to ask you, are you familiar with the term dessert soups? Or does that sound very strange?
I've made
Yeah.
it like fruit soups,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I don't know
Because
about this exactly that I've had.
yeah, so I think in Asian desserts, especially like Chinese desserts, this is a Malaysian Nyonya dessert, which I will also talk a little bit more. There's this concept of dessert soups, meaning like it's kind of like a soupy thing, but it's a sweet soup, So yeah, so like I don't know, but that like they take like black sesame. There's like this black sesame dessert soup. So it's black, so then they grind it up and they put like rock sugar, and then I think there's also some usually they put milk, but I use coconut milk and all that. So it's it's scoopable and it's kind of like a soup. So I think some people find that a bit strange, but we have that a lot. So this one is a Malaysian dessert called bubo chacha, and it's kind of a nyonya dessert, which is so the nyonyas are, I think, the Chinese and the Malays, they intermarried. So yeah, yeah, that's where the influence is, the Malay food and the Chinese food together. So they use a lot of coconut milk in their dishes. So this dessert, they usually use sweet potato, and there's also yam.
Oh.
I don't know. The yam here in Malaysia is different from sweet potato, but I noticed like in US, I think yams and sweet potatoes are they the same?
They kind of they're not supposed to be exactly, but we end up calling
Yeah.
them the same thing. But like
Yeah.
are the yams you're talking about like ubi or no? Like the
It's not
purple?
ubi. It's
Okay.
just that's funny though. It's just called yam here, and it's like it's the kind that like if sometimes your skin gets into contact and then it itches. So Oh, that's also tapioca, right? So there's everything inside it actually. So yeah. So they basically boil the sweet potatoes and the yam and the bananas, and then they serve it in a coconut milk soup thing. So when you eat it together, you get the fragrance of the coconut, and then you also get to bite into it's like diced sweet potatoes and diced yam and things like that. So that's one of the desserts that I really like. So I came up with a raw vegan version of that. The other one which I really like as well. It's interesting because there's this whole concept of having bread and ice cream together. I don't know, is that like something familiar? Do you
It's
do that
not
in the
for us,
US?
but I've seen it before.
Yeah,
But I've seen it more,
yeah,
I think, on like Asian recipe developers Instagram, right? I think it's more of
exactly,
an Asian thing,
exactly.
right?
It's such an Asian thing. So this is when I was a kid, there used to be this stall like right outside the school grounds when it's called so this is called roti ice cream. So roti means bread in
Right.
Malay and ice cream is ice cream, right? Bread and ice cream. And it's basically a hot dog bun, and then it's just like scoops of walls ice cream. So it usually has like vanilla and oh no, usually has sweet corn ice cream and
Ooh.
chocolate ice
Ooh.
cream and strawberry ice cream on top of a hot dog bun, and then that's it. There's nothing. It's
It's
plain. You
like
should try
bizarre.
it. It's
On top of
I
a hot
know
dog
it
bun.
sounds
But I bet
yeah,
it would be
yeah,
good because it's like a white, soft white bread, right? Hot dog bun.
exactly, right,
And so that's
yeah,
almost,
and then
that's like one step from cake almost
It's
with the
true.
sweet.
yeah. So I know it sounds bizarre to people who don't live here, but in Malaysia and even in Vietnam, because I don't know whether you know JD. She used to go by JD Raw on Instagram. Jade Tonkis. She was in the I think she was in the first bundle maybe. She did a lot raw, but this time she's not in the bundle. So she lives in Vietnam, and she's like, I've seen this on the streets of Vietnam. So she hasn't had it as well. So I said, yeah, it's in Asia. So I haven't had this for, I don't know, like 20, 30 years. And then I made this. So I made a raw vegan bread, and then I made an ice cream, and I took it, and I bit it, and I went like, oh my God, this brings me back to childhood days. You know? And when Us had it, he was like, oh my God, this is roti ice cream, but it's raw vegan. So yeah, I don't know.
That's
I
so
mean, if you have
awesome,
a
though. Like that food, I think it's so important to remember. Like when people are transitioning and to have a new kind of way of eating, that what you do is so important because then at some point you are going to want to have that nostalgia, and you can have that nostalgia in a much healthier way. And I think that that's so
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. Actually, it's really interesting because now that I introduce more, when I was first raw vegan, I wasn't eating so much fruit, but yeah, I was eating a lot of raw gourmet, yeah, because I didn't like salads at that time, so I was making more like yeah, I was making more like raw vegan pizzas, raw vegan bread, raw vegan cheesecakes and things like that. But I think because I bought the bundle from Lisa because I wanted her burger book, and then that's when I started making more big salads, and then I started eating more fruit. So I now I have fruit for breakfast and fruit for dinner, and I have a salad for lunch. I realized that my cravings for all these desserts have gone away because I used to love desserts so much, but I don't crave for it anymore. I only make it now because when I'm developing a recipe. But if not, I'll be like, oh, I'll just have some mango for dessert, or just some. Yeah, I like to have mango for dessert or jackfruit for dessert, but not so much for this. So I thought that was really interesting
It
because
really is interesting the way your tastes change, and it's also interesting. And Cheryl usually isn't a fruit person, but there's certain things. So like, I cut up the oranges as long as I cut them up and make them right. Then
As
she'll
long as
eat
I don't
them.
have to put a lot of work into it, I'll eat it.
But she's gotten where she eats more grapes. But like to me,
And
if I had some of-
apples, I've been eating
yeah,
a lot more apples too.
apples, I got really into pears this winter. Like I was obsessed with pears, but we recently had our night out at a Thai restaurant, and I was like, do you have mangoes and sticky rice, and they did, and I was like,
Oh yeah, I
oh,
love that.
it's a
Do,
mango is a
do you make
beautiful thing.
do you make that as well at home, mango and sticky rice? Because it's so easy to make.
I should, but I don't. I think one of the reasons I haven't is that I don't want to have a lot of it because
Right. Okay, okay. I see. I see.
if I could make a little, like I would love to make bite-sized ones.
You know, yeah, it was so funny because when we were in Thailand, right, for the 2 weeks, and then they just have mango sticky rice along the stalls or everywhere, right? And then I looked at us, I said, you know, I can make this at home, right? Why are we getting this for so much? And he's like, and I said, I can make it much healthier because I'm going to use, like, I don't know, date syrup or dates to sweeten it rather than, the sugar, or at least, some organic, non-GMO, unrefined coconut nectar to make it. But we had it twice. We did because we were like, oh, we're in Thailand. We should have it anyway. But
But
yeah,
I
I think
tend to
that's the
say
reason.
that when we go out to eat too. I'm
Yeah.
like, don't get that. That costs a lot out, and we can make it at home for like $2.
She's like, I can make you that. Don't
Yeah,
get that.
yeah. You don't get something I can't get something I don't want to make. Right? I think that's the downside of living with a recipe developer. Now, let's see where. Oh, Portobello Roux had two questions. One, and
Okay.
I think this one may be for both of us. Does most kimchi have salt? And I believe yes. Most fermented foods uses salt. Do you have a?
Yeah. So traditional kimchi recipe is always made with salt because and I'm presuming you're talking about Napa cabbage kimchi because
Yeah.
actually there's like the last time when I checked there's actually a kimchi museum in Korea, and that kimchi museum I didn't get to go, but there is one, and they actually have recorded, I think, if I'm not mistaken, like 184 or 187 different kinds of kimchi. I
Oh my
mean, I've
gosh.
only made like cucumber kimchi, perilla leaf kimchi, Napa cabbage kimchi. Yeah, I've made usually those radish kimchi as well. So the process, they use this. Okay, two things they use the salt for. Number one, they use the salt to draw out the liquid from, let's say, if you're making a Napa cabbage kimchi, you want to draw out the liquid so that when the cabbage, it doesn't break, it becomes bendy, but it doesn't break. You get what I mean, right? When you
Yeah,
salt
Yeah.
it.
absolutely.
Yeah. And then the other thing is also, I think, to keep the bad, when you're fermenting it, is to keep the bad bacteria out away from during the fermentation process, right? So to preserve
Yeah.
it as well. So having said that, the kimchi that I make, I always make it with salt. Having said that, I have seen, I can't remember who, but I have seen other people on the internet making kimchi with celery juice. I'm wondering whether Chef James Sant makes it with celery juice as well. Whether he makes one with. So I heard you can make it with celery juice, and then but I haven't tried. I always talk about doing it, and there was one time I bought a whole bunch of celery, and I thought I was going to make it, and then I never juiced it and never made it, and then you know how that goes.
Oh,
And
totally. And you're
yeah,
always super disappointed with yourself when it happens, like that, or at least that's mine. But like celery has a high sodium count, so that makes
yeah,
really good sense, but still
yeah.
less than
Ooh,
salt.
the other thing you could try is using I think beet greens because Chef Bravo said that he's made, I think, pickles with his beet greens, like no salt pickles with the beet greens. He said that is salty as well. I haven't tried, but I have tried. We have another friend, raw vegan. She on Instagram she goes by Bear with Girl, and she's also known as her name is Jongsu, and she has appeared on Chef AJ live show, and people always mistake us for her for me and me for her. Sometimes she gets messages and then it's meant for me. They all think it's her. But anyway, so yeah, well, they're both like that. They're both Asian faces on Chef AJ show. So anyway, she has made what she calls salt-free kimchi. So she uses dates. I think, whole dates and makes it into a paste as well. And she says you don't need to use salt to make it. So she has made that. So I've tried her recipe as well. To be honest, I because I asked her, and she's Korean, right? So I asked her, does it taste like authentic kimchi? She said to her it does. So I tried her recipe as well. I like the kimchi recipe, but it doesn't taste like the kimchi I've had, like, over here from that I've bought kimchi before from the Korean markets here, right? Made
Yeah.
by like the Korean ladies. It doesn't taste the same. So and it doesn't taste like the kimchi I had in Korea. So you can make it salt free, and if I guess you're not looking for that taste of Korea that I'm looking for, then it's fine. Because if you just I think I don't know how many days she ferments it, but it gets fermented as well. So I think if you want the probiotics in it, you're looking for the probiotics, or you're looking it to use it as like a condiment to, I mean, the food that you're making, you could still do that as well. Yeah, but one of these days I should really try making it with the celery juice.
Maybe we'll do that when you come here to visit. We'll try some. We could do it live. Portobello Rue says, "Oh, Chef Yen, do you make pineapple pumpkin seed rice?"
Pineapple pumpkin seed rice. So I have made pineapple fried rice, which is a Thai recipe. It's in my course. I have a tantalizing Thai course. The pineapple fried rice is there, but I know I have a YouTube video somewhere because I used to have a show called Delicious with Raw Chef Ian. So there is one episode which I show how to make Thai pineapple fried rice, which is actually cauliflower rice. But I haven't made the pineapple pumpkin seed rice. Um, yeah, is that like actual rice, or is it like cauliflower rice or jicama rice or?
Oh, that's a good question. So, if Portobello, if you want to put in more information, I didn't know if that was a specific dish, like a Malaysian
Yeah.
dish that I had never heard of, because it sounds so specific, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Pineapple,
yeah.
pumpkin seed rice, and I'm like, I'm out of this loop. But
Yeah.
Plants Only Muncher says all of the kimchi in the grocery stores near me also put MSG in the kimchi and fish sauce.
Oh.
I know that I've been able to find some kimchi for sure. We're lucky we have an H Mart where we can go, but we have a local fermenter who ferments a bunch of
Ah.
different things. So I got some garlic scape kimchi.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so sometimes if you find a local pickle maker or fermenter, they might also have some in the United States. I'm not sure what state you're in.
Can I show you my kimchi since we're talking about kimchi? I just want to take it
Oh,
out of my
yeah.
fridge in just a few
I want to.
seconds.
I want to see it for sure. And Portobello Roo says celery juice bingo would probably work for regular sauerkraut. Interesting, and dates. Wow, I'm trying it. Thank you. Oh, I went too soon. I'm just showing Chef Yen's chair. I'm like, kimchi, kimchi.
We want the kimchi.
And Cheryl,
I won't eat the kimchi.
it's too spicy for
Yeah.
Cheryl, but I love kimchi.
Yeah, way too spicy for me.
Okay, you know what? I took out almost all my ferments. Okay, so this is my Napa cabbage kimchi. Actually, there is I have a very simple recipe on how to make it, and there's actually a video on YouTube. Maybe Cheryl later. Not Cheryl. Kathy. So
Kathy.
Kathy and Cheryl, I'll send you the link to that video so you can put it in the show notes as well.
Oh yeah, I'd
So
love to.
they can see how to make it. So it's actually very simple. So that's the one that I have. So there's Napa cabbage, and I think there's carrots, and there's some apple for sweetener, and there's some green onions as well. So this is the traditional Napa cabbage kimchi. I also make this. This is not kimchi. This is ferments though. But this is I don't know whether you have it in where you are in the Indian food section, but it's basically a turmeric cabbage dish. But I made it like lacto fermented, so it has all the Indian spices in it. So it's got coriander and cumin, and cardamom and the yeah green green chilies and all that. Yeah, yeah. So
That sounds
that's my.
amazing. So,
It
is it
is
going
really.
to taste a little bit like Indian pickle in the end, like achar?
Yeah, it's a bit, but it's not so much of not so much of it. I think the Indian acha is even more intense. Yeah,
Okay.
this one is like because at the Indian shops here they always have vegetarian options, and there's always this dish that is like white cabbage and carrots and all those spices, but I've just made it into like a fermented. I've just like lacto fermented it. That's all. Yeah. And then the other thing, this is the one that I really like, but I don't think you've ever get to try it because this is a lacto fermented belimbing bulo. So it's how do I explain it? Hold on. But we call it belimbing bulo here in Malaysia. I think it's also called belimbi. It's part of the star fruit family, but it's very kind of it's it's kind of like like two knuckle size, like
Mm-hmm.
yeah. The length of finger is yeah.
Okay.
It's this. Sorry, it's maybe
Oh,
like yeah. The
I
length
get it.
of
So,
a finger.
is it some bel- Balimbi, also known as cucumber tree, tree sorrel, or
Yeah,
tree cucumber?
belimbi.
Okay.
Yeah.
They
So
made
it's
this. Is it an Indian food? Because I'm pretty sure they made something with this at the Indian vegan buffet. Because I couldn't figure out what the vegetable was, and I asked
Yeah.
him, and the picture looks just like what I looked up.
Yep. It does.
yeah.
And it's cucumbers on a tree, and I know that sounds ridiculous, but our cucumbers don't grow on trees. Our cucumbers grow on vines, and like,
Yeah.
uh,
It
it
looks like
looks.
bananas hanging.
It really just looks like off a tree trunk, a little branch that cucumbers.
Yeah.
We have an Asian a farmer who grows a lot of Asian vegetables too. So I don't know if it's possible in our climate, but if it is, he'll probably grow it.
It's interesting because I have one of my readers on my e-newsletter. She emailed me and she says I think she lives in Florida and she's growing it. Yeah, and the thing is, it grows. It used to grow like everywhere in neighborhoods, and you see it. I mean, like I'm quite lucky. Yeah, there's still some trees in my neighborhood, so it's just like it's just growing along the road. So I
So you
pluck
just
those,
grab
and
it.
then it's very, very sour. I think that's why people don't eat it. But when you cook it, it mellows down and it adds such a nice acidity in food. And but because I lacto fermented it, so after that it tastes so good. I really wish you could try it, because I love it. I mean, us is like, oh, it's too sour. He doesn't really like fermented food, so it's a
I
bit too
don't
strong.
either.
Although yeah,
I
sometimes I
do.
hide it in his food, but yeah, he doesn't like it. But I'm just like so amazed with the taste. Yeah. And then, oh, since we're talking about this has nothing to do, but this is the last thing I wanted to show you. This is, but you can't really see it. It's beet kvass. So
I wondered if it was kvass, and I was like, no, she's not
yes,
making kvass.
yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah, yeah. It is.
awesome.
It's beet kvass, and I love it. Oh, I should drink some later. And but what I found really interesting was the beet that you use to make the kvass. If you ferment it even longer, because I met this kvass maker in Australia, and because I used to just ferment mine for like 5 days, he says no, he does his for a month. So I tried doing it as well, but you need to add in more salt because if not, the calm yeast will form and all that. So I added in more salt, and then I kept it, and I actually tried to ferment one for 3 months, and the texture of the beet is amazing. It's just like it's like cooked beet, like it's a bit like roasted beet, but you don't roast it. So I was just like, wow! I was like mind blown. So yeah, I have some of these fermenting from time to time as well. So yeah.
Nice.
That's amazing. Um, oh, and Portobello Roo says, I was looking for the coconut candy and came across a site, Davina Da Vegan. Davina
Oh
Da
yeah, yeah,
Vegan. And
yeah.
she had the pineapple pumpkin seed rice that she was asking about earlier.
Oh, I think because Davina does like fusion stuff sometimes. So I don't think that's like a yeah, I know Davina. Yeah, yeah. We were in the fashion show together at Veg Fest as well. So yeah, she also makes she's also another she calls her, I think, like plant based advocate. Yeah. So the pumpkin seed, that thing, I think is something like she comes up with. She's quite wacky, so she comes up with like very strange fusiony recipes that one would have never heard of before. So that's not like a Malaysian recipe. I think that's a Davina recipe.
That's awesome. So, what's one thing, if we haven't had Malaysian food before, that we absolutely have to try? Like, even if it's a spice or a sauce, or is there a dish that
Yeah,
we need to?
I think there is a what we consider as our national dish, which is called nasi lemak.
Nasi,
Nasilemak.
nasi lemak. Okay.
Nasi
Yeah,
lemak.
Lemak.
yeah, Lemak. So it's a rice dish.
Oh,
It's
it's
like a
pretty.
Oh,
yeah. So
wow.
there's always like it's rice cooked in coconut milk. Sometimes you put a bit of ginger, and then it comes with um, different condiments as well. So you have your roasted peanuts. Traditionally, you have your fried anchovies, and then it's usually served with maybe a rendang. It can be very simple. You can eat it for, and it's kind of eaten all the time. You can there's very simple versions are eaten as a breakfast, but you can always have it for lunch. People also have it for lunch and dinner. There's always a sambal that goes with the condiment, the sambal, and then
Mm.
uh, yeah, I have made a raw vegan version of it before. It's not very healthy. I mean, like traditionally, it's not very healthy because like the rice is like cooked in a lot of coconut, right? Because nasi means rice, and lemak is actually kind of means fat or fatty. So it's like fatty rice, right? So like what do you expect? But yes, that's like Az's favorite dish. I mean, I love eating it as well. But I'm sure Kathy, you can come up with a compliant version of it,
Oh,
maybe
sure.
like bake the peanuts and
I think everything, the
have some
only thing that's
crispy
hard with Dr.
potatoes.
McDougall's starch solution is the one no, other than oil and animal stuff, is
Uh-huh.
coconut. So I do that in
Uh,
part of my thing.
yeah, that would be a
But
bit difficult
and it's just
because
because
that's
it's
like
high in fat. And so, but
mm,
I kind of do it like we don't go out to Thai as much. And when I cook, and actually I'm going to be doing, um, I hate to call it a Thai class because it's a modified Thai class because people are asking me to make the Thai curries without coconut, which isn't
oh.
even remotely traditional. So I don't even want it. But what you can
You
do
can
is
try
use,
a Thai inspired class.
yeah, that's what I always end up. You're always there when I'm like, it's this inspired and that, because I just don't want people to think, when you're whole food, plant based, no oil, or even SOS, you have to make all these other changes.
Yeah.
So it's not about the fact that, Penang curry needs to be improved. Because it's delightful the way it is, but I'll use a little bit of coconut extract and some
Right.
non-dairy milk, and then if you make a homemade oat milk, then it even thickens up really nice. It's again, it's not an exact, but if you can't have that kind of saturated fat in your diet, it's just the flavors of Thai curry, with the lime leaves and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
all the special spices and lemongrass, and
Yeah.
it's just heady. It's just heady. And so it makes me sad if I think someone, if someone has a serious heart condition, they really don't have another option.
Yeah. True.
At this point, I have the option to have it every once in a while. Um,
Mm.
so that's one thing we're going to be doing. But I would love for you to teach me some Malaysian flavors so I can have, because I just know there's got to be, well, actually, I already know. There's a million dishes that I haven't had in my lifetime, especially like all the different Asian countries, and everybody's so different. You know, Japanese food is so different than Korean food, that's different than
Correct.
areas of different Chinese. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
it's mind blowing. And part of me just wants to be able to try all of it, you know, a little bit of everything. And just, you know, I would love to have you come with me to the Asian store too, because sometimes I'll get something, if it has enough label in it that I know it's vegan, I'll give it a try. But it would be so nice. Some of the stuff doesn't have it in English. And so I'm probably passing up a lot of things that would be great to use. Like, I really want some good fermented tofus and things like that I know
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
missing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love fermented tofu. Oh my god, it's so the depth of flavor and the complexity is so amazing.
Right? And I think I do a lot of that with little things like, you know, layering things like tomato powder and ancho chili powders and some things that we can get, but like having those lovely things too. Like, I think that would really make some beautiful cheese sauces, vegan cheese sauces.
Yeah, yeah. I use that for my cheese sauce actually, the fermented tofus. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think they're vegan. I don't think there's anything because usually they just use. I mean, if you the ones that I check. I mean, it's basically just tofu and salt and sometimes there's like some kind of Chinese cooking wine in it, and then maybe some kind of herbs
And
sometimes
what
depending.
happens here with, and it's not all the time everything, but there's a lot of MSG, a lot of preservatives
Yeah,
in
yeah.
in the foods we get in our Chinese or Asian markets. And it's not all, and I'm even noticing with the Indian markets that I go to, now there's a bigger and bigger organic section in the Indian market that's it's not new as now, but kind of like from 2020 it got bigger. It used to be this big, like a little section of herbs
Uh,
and spices, and now it's gotten so much bigger. And so maybe that will translate into some of the other markets. But
yeah.
it's mostly for me, it's because if I don't read the language. One thing I have noticed, and because I went to H Mart and there were all these instructions, they just had this much English and all these, it was so many words. This was not all. And so I went on my iPhone and I took a picture and I said translate, and it translated everything.
What?
And
Yeah.
so now that I know that, I really should be able to go into Li Ming's and find because I was finding some weird tofus, but it would just be like something tofu. And I didn't really know if it was the fermented tofu or the not for, you know, like there's
Right.
so much I
Yeah.
have to learn. I think that's the bottom
Yeah.
line.
Yeah, yeah. I think yeah, you're right though. Like the Chinese stuff, there's going to be MSG. I mean, what I do is I usually go to the Chinese organic shop, so they have like, so then they don't put MSG in the organic fermented tofus. Yeah, or I guess I'm also lucky. There's one shop there's a restaurant nearby which they do. Oh, hi, Fergus. They do um,
Come
they
on.
ferment some of their own stuff as well, so you can also get it there. But yeah, the organic ones won't put MSG. But if you go to your typical Asian markets, which have the produce is actually from China, there's probably MSG and preservatives in it. Yeah, it's such a pity.
Well, and I think some of it, you know, we're not in a giant place. We're not in a tiny place either, but maybe somewhere like New York or Chicago, San Francisco, they probably would have more choices. I'm so sorry, you guys. Fergus is in his own little world right now. He likes
Oh,
night
it's
night
okay.
lovies. And so actually he asked for me to go to bed because the dog sleeps with us. And so I go to
Uh,
bed early and he comes and he lays on my shoulder and we have lovey time.
Aw.
It's such a mess. But um, but I would like to see some other, you know, like it'd be nice to have a Whole Foods of international foods.
Yeah.
But Li Ming's, even though it's smaller and it's very close, it's really nice, and the mushrooms I can get there are beautiful, and inexpensive, like oyster mushrooms. So like I had gone to Whole Foods, which was just like 10 minutes away, and drove there. They were $30 a pound in Whole Foods, and they were $3.99 a pound. Big, beautiful.
$30 a pound. That's crazy.
Yeah. And like turmeric or ginger at Whole Foods is often very, very expensive too.
Yeah.
But usually a lot of the Thai ingredients are in the freezer. Oh, don't step on there, little bunny. No. He's like, I do what I want. Okay, so that's one dish. What would be a good vegan dish then? Maybe not the dish of Malaysia, but like if I came to your house and you wanted to introduce me to Malaysian food, what would you cook for me?
Wow, so many things. I was just thinking of like maybe like a nasi ulam. I mean, it's not completely vegan. So a nasi ulam is basically a herbed, like a Malaysian herbed rice. So it's NASI and then ULAM, because that's already got a lot of rice, and it uses a lot of the Malaysian herbs. So I think you'd be like really interested to taste what.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and there is also Rasa Malaysia.com.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I'm
I
sure
have
these
like
aren't vegan, but that is just beautiful.
Oh, she would totally
Yeah.
dig that.
I mean, the only reason why it's not vegan, I think, is because they use like like dried shrimp in it or something. But it can totally be veganized.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So yeah.
what do you use if you're replacing shrimp in some of your stuff?
I usually just use some miso paste, because it's like it's not shrimp. It's kind of like dried. Um, yeah, it's dried. Is it fermented? It's dried shrimp. So the whole idea is to add some umami to it. You see,
Okay.
so it's to add umami and fishiness. So basically, I just use some miso and I use some seaweed. Yeah, that would get that umami and fishy um, flavor to it as well. But even, I mean, because that's, yeah, quite, I've seen that veganized in a lot of places. Yeah.
Oh, I can imagine. And I'm just like kind of just pulling things up just so I can get a visual while we're talking about it.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I
but
would love
like
to
that
try the different herbs,
yeah,
maybe new
that
to me.
tons of the Malaysian herbs that you can just like. It's I think it's got most probably like lemongrass, and it's got like what we call the ulam, which is traditionally in Malay food. You actually do eat some raw vegetables as well, but it's eaten with the sambal. Yeah, it's eaten with like a spicy paste condiment kind of thing, but it's usually raw as well. So people like they eat like raw cucumbers, raw long beans, and then a lot of raw green leaves, but it's eaten with the sambal, so it's spicy. Yeah.
I love sambal. And that's my friend from Singapore introduced me to that and chili garlic
Oh,
sauce.
nice.
So
Nice.
when I was in grad school a long time ago, she had my spice up really good. It's not so good anymore. But like we went, and I'll never forget going with her to a Thai restaurant, and we'd been eating things pretty spicy, and she's like, do you want to do Thai hot? I didn't know. And I was like, yeah. And I thought I was going to die. And I had been eating things hotter than ever in my life, but like at this one place, like they had really spicy fresh peppers, and they had just
Right.
sliced up the fresh peppers and mixed them in too. And I was like, I
Yeah.
needed a little more time to build up to that. And I think I'm past that time now.
I've never had that much of a
She
spice
thinks
tolerance.
black pepper is spicy.
Oh, that's
But the weirdest thing is I could eat chili tofu,
oh.
right?
Yeah, which is, yeah. And it's really spicy.
Wow.
But it's whatever's in that one spice, it's okay. She's like, for her, it's where it hits her in the mouth.
It depends where it hits me in my mouth.
Okay.
I don't understand it at all. And
If
some
it hits
days she
me in the
can,
tongue,
she
and
can't
it's
always
initial,
have it.
if it's an
though.
initial heat hit,
Mhm.
I'm okay. But if it gets me
Okay.
back in the back of my tongue,
Yeah.
I can't take it.
And
It's the weirdest thing.
and it changes for you though.
It does
So
change.
like literally, let's say tonight she had chili tofu. Tomorrow she might not be able to have any kind of spice on anything for another week or two, and then all of a sudden she'll be able to have it again. I just don't. It baffles me.
It is weird.
Well,
really
it's
weird.
not weird. It's just
I'm weird.
I like to predict things.
Oh, you know what? Ours is the same way. Like today he'll like a dish, and then the next day he'll be like, "Oh, I don't really feel like eating it." And I'm like, "But that was your favorite dish the other day." So it's very confusing for me as well. Or sometimes I give him a small portion of something because he didn't really like it the last time, and then he'll look at me and like, "Do you have more?" And I'm like, "But you didn't like it the last time."
Yeah.
So I think you two are going to get along very well.
Yeah, I think so.
He's totally
think so.
unpredictable when it comes to food. I'm like, I don't know how to cook for you.
Yep, I do feel that way a lot.
Well, a lot of times she'll be like, "Do you think you can eat something spicy today if I make such and such?" And I'll be like, "I really can't tell you till we get into the eating part because I can't predict whether it's going to be too much or not."
So most of the time I just make everything really bland, and then I just add things at the end
Which
when
is
I'm
sad
serving
because
it.
I don't want her to have everything bland all the time because of me.
Well,
but-
I add sauces and hot sauces and things, and we've got different, srirachas and chili garlic sauces.
But I do like
and
most
stuff.
Asian foods, so I'm getting better, like with the Asian foods, I think.
When we order Indian, and they'll be like, I don't know if they do this where you are, they'll be like, what spice level? And it'll be like from mild to hot. And so they have a special checkbox. If you're ordering, you can order baby mild.
Oh,
Baby
okay.
mild is literally what they call it. That's not me being mean. And so she's like,
It doesn't have
baby
any spice.
mild. And so she gets the one that's for
It
the
doesn't
babies.
have any spice at all.
It is really funny, and it's hard not to pick on her about getting it baby mild.
I'm a good sport
But
about
I
it.
mean, I only eat medium, so
It's when you're in person and you have to tell them baby mild that it gets a little bit because you're a grown adult and you're sitting there and he's asking everybody their spice and then they get to you and I'm like baby mild and their face
changes.
Their face changes every time. They just look at me like, oh.
They're like, "Oh, you are that white, aren't you?" Is exactly what they're thinking. They're like, "I thought you were pretty pasty. Now I know for sure."
They would be used to it by now. I mean, it would.
Yeah, you would think so. And see, and the thing is I eat medium, which is really spicy to her, but I could go almost anywhere, and people are gonna laugh at me. Like if I went and ate real Thai food with real Thai people, they would be like, "Seriously, that's all you can have, right?" Because it's what you grow up with, I think, a little bit too.
Yeah. I did want to say, like, I mean, it's different because I grew up eating chili, when I was very young, and if you haven't been introduced to chili, then it would be a shock to your system.
Yeah.
Sometimes I forget as well because I remember I did this kimchi demo in Chiang Mai, which is in Thailand. But we had a lot of the digital nomads attending it because it was a vegan thing. So and like the gochugaru, the Korean red pepper chili paste flakes. To me, it's not spicy at all whatsoever compared to the Malaysian chili flakes. So there I was like. I put like 3 tablespoons, right? And I heard somebody gasping when she was watching. She went like, "Oh!" And I was like, "But this is so mild. It doesn't taste right." And I mixed everything and I served people. And the white people were going like, "This is too spicy." They're like, "Chef Yin, this is really good, but it's too spicy." And I'm like, "Spicy? What spicy?"
Right? And what's so fun about using chilies, and we've been using more just like Hispanic chilies like anchos, guajillo, and some that aren't spicy at all, but create these beautiful umami layered flavors. But I even find with the hot ones, I love trying the different things. Like I just started making some Korean food at home last year. And so I ended up getting gochugaru and different things. I expected
Yeah.
it to be much hotter than it was. So
Right. It's not really hot though. I don't find it that hot. I mean, the ones I get at least.
right, I'm
Compared
sure
to
it's hot, but I guess when I saw it and how red it was, I was expecting it to just be like the Thai hot of my nightmare.
yeah. Because if you have cayenne pepper, it's hotter than the gochugaru, right? Do you feel that
Yes.
way? Right. Cayenne
It,
is way hotter.
it really
Yeah.
is. And for some reason, the cayenne I have, because I always get refills and put it in my jars, right? So the cayenne that's in there now isn't the original one. And whatever I got, it was like extra hot cayenne. It's the hottest cayenne I've ever had in my life. It's hotter than my habanero pepper.
Oh.
And
Okay.
so I forget and
Interesting.
I make the Cajun spice and I use my normal recipe
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, Cheryl can't eat anything I make with this. So I have to like fix it. It's,
Yeah,
'cause
it's true.
it's pretty spicy.
It is. Yeah.
But even, even when they're really, really hot, a lot of the different chilies can still add such a magical layer of flavor.
It's so interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm going to have to go to bed or I would
Yeah.
talk to you all day long. And I'm going to be on with you on Sunday.
Yes, that's right. On Instagram.
So
Yeah,
that'll
I'll
be
be
fun.
hosting the one.
So I'll
I
make
look
sure to
forward
put
to
that
it.
out in an email too, so you guys can do that. I had put Chef Yen's Instagram in the live chat, and don't forget you can go down below, click the three dots if you're watching the replay. You will see the chat eventually, but sometimes it can take up to 6 to 8 hours before the chat comes back. But just go down there, make sure you're following her. Also, make sure that you get your copy of the bundle because we're getting towards the time that it's going to go away.
Yeah, it's only like 4 days left.
Yeah.
I know, right? Thursday, Friday. Yeah, 4 days. Oh, that's because you're ahead of us too. So it really is all because I'm like 4.5, and you're like, no, 4. And so,
Oh, because before I came on, I went to check the timer to see like maybe like 4 days and a few more hours left.
it's true. So go ahead and get it because none of us can get you in after it's closed. So,
It's a hard no after that.
and I know that I've said this for 2 days that Cheryl and I are
We
going to get
are.
on and show you how to move it to Google Drive or to put it on a thumb drive. And tonight is not that night.
Yeah.
But tomorrow we will absolutely do it. I'm going to figure out in the schedule because I'm going to tell you something crazy.
Yeah. You
And
don't
that's
want
not
us
going to be
do it tired.
helpful.
Having you wiping out your entire computer or
No,
something.
don't scare people. You can't do that. Everything
Well, I'm
will
just
be
saying
fine.
if we're tired, like
No,
just
we
like,
still can't tell people to do that. But is there anything else you want to talk about the bundle or about some stuff that they should do to check you out?
Oh, I made your black eyed peas instant pot recipe, but not in the instant pot, in the Thermomix.
I like that you do it in the Thermomix though, because I
Yeah.
find it fascinating. Because I had a Thermomix kind of knockoff. What was it? I'm gonna forget. I forget what it is, but anyhow, they just don't get popular here, which is so interesting.
Oh, okay.
It's very popular
Yeah.
in Australia. It's very popular in
Yes.
Malaysia as well.
Yeah, yeah. It's very popular. It's pretty popular in Malaysia. Yeah, among like the maybe like upper middle class because it's kind of expensive. I had to think long and hard to invest in it. But the reason why I got the Thermomix is because I kept breaking my other like my Panasonic and my Philip blenders and food processors, and I was like, oh, okay. I think the third time I think I might have gone through like 6 blender blades or something like that, and I'm like, okay, I
It's time.
yeah, because I made so much smoothies, and I think also because like, I was like freezing some of my stuff in the fridge, and that was before I thought the normal blenders are not a Vitamix, you see. And at that time, there wasn't the Vitamix was not available yet in Malaysia. I mean, now I have a Vitamix as well because then it finally came to Malaysia. So the Thermomix was in Malaysia way before the Vitamix. So yeah, I got the Vitamix, and then now I don't even have like proper. I used to have piped in gas supply, and then I think they just like, I don't know, they don't pipe it in anymore. I think the contract ended, and the gas suppliers are not supplying piping gas. So you need to actually get, like the actual gas. What do you call that? I don't even know what you call it. But it
Propane?
doesn't fit in my.
Like a
Sorry?
propane tank?
She's talking about the containers. I wonder if
Oh.
like for the barbecue,
Yeah,
the shape you did is
no,
like
it's an actual gas tank. Like in Malaysia, like somebody comes in a truck and brings a gas tank to you, and you fit it into your kitchen oven and all that.
Huh.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what we have to do. But my kitchen wasn't designed properly, and we couldn't fit in it can't fit the gas tank there. So now I just use my Thermomix. I don't have a gas stove anymore. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
unless I want to like remodel my kitchen and get like a electric stove or something. But I didn't, so I just make everything in the Thermomix. I mean, because I'm high raw anyway, so
yeah.
I I don't really need. I was half thinking about like, oh, should I get a stove, but I never got around to doing it. So
Yeah, you didn't
yeah,
really need it.
but
We do have one question about Malaysia. Does it get cold in Malaysia? Stephanie wants to know.
Most areas of Malaysia, no, because we are pretty very close to the equator. I mean, we're next to Singapore, and I think Singapore's next to the equator. So we're like in tropical land, and it's either rainy or it's hot and humid, or it's hot and humid and rainy because sometimes the sun is shining and it still rains. So that's basically what it is. We do have some areas where it's higher, like in the mountains or in the hills, so that gets cooler. But I think for you it would still be summertime because I don't know the Fahrenheit thing, but yeah, in Celsius is about 30 degrees Celsius. So I think that's what, is it 90 Fahrenheit or something?
86.
86.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
not a
And
bad temperature. It's when it gets up into 100 that I don't like any of the 90s either. So let's just don't.
yeah.
But it's getting warmer here, so like it seems like summer is longer than it used to be. It used to be winter was when you get kind of seasonal affective disorder, when you get kind of sad because it's cold and
Yeah,
gloomy. When I moved
yeah.
to this house, because there's windows all around and up, actually in this we've got the clear story windows. It didn't happen, but I almost get that same feeling when the summer goes too long and it's too hot to do anything.
Yeah, yeah. So it's right now we are having some kind of heat wave, so it is quite hot. So that's why I have the fans on. I mean, most people have the air conditioning on in their houses, but I don't like to use air conditioning, so I try not to use it. I only used to use it like, when I had students coming in to learn from me. Yeah, so I mean, but even in the cool areas, like, there's some like holiday places which is like you have to drive up to the mountains. I think it only goes up to about 25 Celsius. Yeah. So I don't like,
What did you
yeah.
say it one more
So
time? How much Celsius?
about 25, maybe 24, 25 Celsius.
Oh, it's like 77 degrees. That's a good temperature.
Yeah,
That's
that's
nice.
Yeah.
the sweet spot right there.
Yeah. But that's
With
not
no-
in the
with
city.
no
You have to,
You have to go climb
yeah.
the mountains.
77
Right?
with
Yeah. You
zero
have to drive up
humidity.
the mountain.
Well, and where we live, it's
Yeah.
pretty humid. I'm sure it's not as humid as where you are, but I lived in New Orleans too, which is down further and really humid. Like it would be in the summer, you would take a shower and you'd start to dry off. By the time you got to this arm's wet again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and Lydia says 25 is a nice temperature as well. She lives in Montreal.
Ah.
Well,
Yeah,
thank
for me,
you.
anything below 24 is cold for me. I'm such a tropical girl. Yeah.
Ah,
So
that's
anything like, I think, yeah, because when we were in Thailand, they had like some freaky weather and it was so cold. And okay, I think you're gonna laugh at me because it was like, I think it was like 24 and I was like wearing a beanie and having muffler. You are so going to laugh at me because I remember when we went to UK and we stayed with our friend and it was during summer. But yeah, I was in a beanie and you know, like my jacket and everything. And my friend's like in shorts. And she's like, Yen, what's wrong with you? I'm like, it's cold. I'm from Malaysia. And he's like, okay, okay, we'll turn the heater on for you. But you do know it's summer. So yeah, I'm like wrapped up in all these layers, and he's in his t-shirt and shorts, and yeah.
it takes a while to get used to things. I think that's what's hard here is like, so like 2 days ago it was in the 70s or like 20-ish probably for you. And then it dropped like 20 degrees. So it was like 55 degrees today, but it was 75 degrees 2 days ago. When it goes back and forth
Yeah, the
so
up and
much,
down is crazy.
I don't get used to either one of them.
Yeah, yeah, that would be crazy because you don't know what to expect. It's so unpredictable.
Yeah.
We just have, yeah, we have no idea what's going on here for sure. But it's always a delight to get to hang out with you.
Yep.
Yes. Yes,
Tell
yes,
Oz
yes.
we said
Me too.
hello.
Yeah.
I will. I will. I will.
And then he has to take care of you and cook for you. At least get takeout for you. Go.
Yeah, I think we're gonna go out for lunch because what happened is there's gonna be they said that it's gonna be a water outage from like now until 5 p.m. So I'm like, oh, I guess we
Oh,
need to go out for lunch and maybe have some Japanese food. Yeah.
Oh,
that
There's this
sounds good.
vegan it's called, I think, what there's like a 100% vegan Japanese ramen restaurant that just opened up
Oh,
recently. So
wow.
we've only gone there once. So I think this is an excuse to go there again.
Yeah.
Even though we're actually going to Japan end of the month, but why not?
well, I think you'll have to post a picture of what you're eating to Instagram so we
Yep.
can see.
I will. I will. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you guys make sure to follow Chef Yen, and we'll be back tomorrow with some schedule that I have no idea if you're on the email list. You will get it tomorrow because I'm not writing an email tonight. And if you're in the Free Heartbeat group, all of the lives are already listed there under Bundle Week. So I think we're doing 3 or 4 tomorrow. So
Wow, it's crazy.
Busy, busy day.
I'm
it-
just
it-
I'm doing only 2 tomorrow.
lucky you. Well, hopefully I'll get the chance to watch some of yours too. But you guys have the very best night. I'm going to have the very best sleep. And then I'm going to come back like a whole real girl tomorrow. All right. Have a great night. And I'll see you guys really, really soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
See you, everyone.